Bonjour, welcome to Wahsa Distance Education Center's Radio Zoom class. This is MEL3E, grade 11 workplace math, and I am Bronwyn Slate, the teacher. If you'd like to participate live today, you can call the Wahsa studio at 1-800-465-7144 or 737-4017. You can listen on the radio at 91.9 FM or also on the television at Bell Express U channel 972. You are always welcome to join me live on with the Zoom link, which is available from me, your teacher, and also your DEC. We're just going to run through how to join with the Zoom link if you do have that link and you'd like to join that way. So your DC has the link, or you can contact me directly and I can provide it. It is the same link for every single course, for every of my courses and every single class. So you don't need a new link for each day. And once you click on it, then you're going to click join with computer audio so you can hear everything. And you're also going to get a pop-up that's going to come up that says the class will be recorded, and also that it is streaming to live, YouTube live, which I'm actually I'm streaming live, but I've set it for private. So it's not actually streaming live, but it is how I can transfer it to YouTube so that you can access it again later. So just be aware of that. If you have a question, or if you don't want to be broadcasted, then don't turn your video on. But this is how we have access so that everyone can watch the class again later if need be. So you click got it so that you know consent to that. Then at the bottom left side of your screen, that is where the video and microphone icons are. So here you can see this is the microphone. So right now my sound is on, so it's not crossed out. If you were to click on it, then it would have this line cross through it. If you're calling through on the phone, it's a little phone icon. If you're wearing headphones, it's a little headphone icon. Same idea, that it has this red line through it. You're not on. So please keep your microphone off, just so that we don't hear any sounds that are happening in your home. Unless you have a question and you want to turn it on and ask a question, that's totally fine. Then also your video, you can turn on or off if you'd like. I generally have my video off just so that there's less stuff going on the screen. And I encourage you to keep yours off as well, just for privacy's sake. And just so that there's less going on the screen, we can focus on our coursework. Then to leave the class, you can click on this end button at the bottom right of the screen. If you accidentally click on it and you want to join again, you're totally welcome to do that. That is fine to go in and out of the class. If you need to step away from your computer, just leaving it on mute and the video off is fine too. You don't actually have to leave the class, just if you have to step away. It's fine, no worries. You can just step away and then come back to it when you can come back to it. But if you do end up leaving the class and want to come back in, that is fine as well. Also, I do have the Zoom subtitles turned on so that if you need that, or if that's a way that supports you, you can access those subtitles. So how you can turn them on and off is that you have these three dots that are around more. It also might just say live transcript as an icon down here. It's different depending on how large your screen is. But then you click on here and then you click hide subtitle if you want to turn the subtitles off, or show subtitle if you want to turn the subtitles on. There will be a full transcript available later if you would like access to that. So that's Zoom, but let's look at what the difference between the radio Zoom class is versus just the IL courses. So first, how are they the same? The course material, the evaluations, and the resources are all the same, whether you are registered in the radio Zoom course or in the IL course. So you don't have to worry about the classes being different. They are the same class, it's just the way that they are delivered are slightly different, or you have different options and the timelines are slightly different. but anyone can listen and participate in the Radio Zoom classes. You do not have to be registered in the Radio Zoom class in order to join. You can be in the IEL class and still join us through Radio Zoom. You're totally welcome. Also, all of my lessons are recorded, and then I post them on YouTube, as I said before, so that everyone can have access to them. And then there's links there and resources there in each of my YouTube posts. So that doesn't matter if you are joining us through Radio Zoom or in the IEL course, you are welcome to access all of the replays, all of the videos on YouTube. But then how are they different? So we have the Radio Zoom classes are scheduled into 4 terms per the year. So each class runs for 9 weeks. And then during those sessions, the classes that we're doing right now live, I will explain the course concepts and show examples, working through all of the 20 lessons of this class. So you can be here live with me and asking questions. And that's really the main difference between Radio Zoom and the IEL course. The IEL course is open from start to finish of the course at any time. So you don't have to start today with me. You can join in a week or 2 or whenever. You start between September 6th today and you end by June 16th, 2023 this year. So the IEL course is just sort of in theory, doing it independently, though you have complete access to me. You're welcome to join the Radio Zoom and be at the live class or connect with me outside of class hours and ask me questions, and I'm here to support you. You have access to the same resources, the YouTube channel, so you don't have to worry. It's just sort of the timeline, whereas the Radio Zoom class, you're expected to sort of stick along with the timeline, though if you are unable to complete it within those 9 weeks, we can always roll it over into the IEL course, unless you're in the final term, which is in April. So no worries about that. We can't roll it over into the summer. All right, so our schedule is our MEL3E class is on Monday through Thursday from 9 till 10 in the morning. So first thing, everybody loves math first thing in the day. Get your day going well. And then we are in our first week of our 9-week course. So we are running from September 6th this week to November 4th is the last day of our course. So that's the 9 weeks that we will be running. All right, so it's important to know what work to submit, though you don't have any yet, I'm sure, but maybe you do, maybe you're keen and already started. But in your package that you received from us, the support questions, the ones that have the little pencil icon, are not for marking. These are just the ones that are your practice problems to help you prepare for the ones that I'm going to mark. So you decide which ones and how many to do. If you're understanding your concept, feel free to skip. You don't need to spend time just because there are 10 or 12 questions of the one type. You don't need to keep doing them just because they're there. Do the ones that make the most sense for you. Try some of the easier ones that seem straightforward. Try some of the ones that seem complicated and confusing to make sure that you understand the concept as a whole, but you don't have to do every single one. You can do every single one if you need the practice. That is totally great. I just encourage you to use your assessment and do what feels best for you. Also, if you need more practice, please ask me and I will happy to get you more practice and support you. The key questions, the ones with the little key icon, are the ones to submit for marking. So please do all of these questions. These ones, I'm grading every single one. And so I want to give you credit for all of your understanding. So please do all of these ones and then show all of your work, all of your steps in your thinking, so I can give you as much credit for your understanding as possible. This way, if you are making an error, I can understand maybe where that's coming from and what mistake you might be making, and then I can support you to correct that and understand more deeply. Or if you just give me a final answer that is completely wrong, I can't give you any part marks. Whereas if you show me your work, I can give you part marks for what you are understanding, what you are getting correct. And then if you made a calculation error or one small error, I just take off 1 part mark, opposed to you losing all the marks for just having the wrong answer. So I please ask you to show me all of your work. This gives me the most information and it gives you the most information about where your learning is. So then how do you submit your work for marking? So there's 3 methods. The first is to scan and send your work in electronically. So you can scan your completed work if you have an Apple device using the Notes app, which is a free app that comes on it. Or if you have an Android device, you can use the Google Drive app, which is also a free app that comes generally on Android devices. I can walk you through how to use those if you need be. And we'll run over that, but then you can send it to me by email to studentwork@nnec.on.ca and CC it to me, bronwyn.slate@nnec.on.ca. Or you can also send it to me through Facebook Messenger at bslate.wahsa. Both come directly to me, and then I'll mark them and return it to you. That's generally the fastest way to get it to me and to get back. But the other options is to drop your work off directly in Sioux Lookout if you are visiting or if you are local to us here. We have an outdoor mailbox at our location 74 Front Street at our side entrance. We have a small white mailbox there. We are the bright red building next to the post office, and we have a white door and a little white mailbox on our side. We're not open yet to students. Hopefully COVID-19 will calm down this year and we will be able to reopen to students. But for now, just drop it off there at any time and we will collect it, and then I will mark it and get it back to you. Then the third method is to hand it into your DEC. And then your DEC can either send your work through the Express or fax it to 807-737-1732 or toll-free fax to 1-800-463-7852. You're also welcome to fax it directly if you have access to a fax machine. That's fine as well. So then ways to connect with me so I can support you. I have a Facebook and a YouTube channel, as I mentioned before. They're both with the name MEL3E Wahsa. So I will probably reach out, but you can also try to find me on Facebook. And I strongly encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. As I said before, every one of our radio Zoom classes are posted to YouTube, as well as short videos explaining common errors or confusing concepts. So it's a good place to go if you're struggling with something and you just need a quick touch base of one of our concepts. Instead of just doing a general search online, going to my YouTube channel, I might directly cover it because I know it's something that students struggle with. Also, there are archives of my courses that I taught last year. So you can go in, and if you want to move faster than we are moving live, you can go in and see you can see the lessons that I taught last year. They're in an archive. I have made some adjustments and will continue to hopefully improve my courses. So doing the most recent means that my information hopefully is better, clearer, and any mistakes that I made last year, I have hopefully addressed, but you can still access those archives. That's totally fine. Math is a really visual subject, so I strongly encourage you to access the YouTube videos. I know that internet isn't necessarily easy for everyone or reliable, so if that is your reality, let me know and I can send you a copy of all of the videos. So you can still have access to them. If you have a computer, you can go into the Learning Center in your community and watch them there, even if the internet is not reliable. But I strongly encourage you to access the YouTube videos one way or the other, because there's so much information from the visual beyond just what I'm saying out loud. You need both. You need both the visual and the audio in order to truly understand what is going on to the best of our abilities. So try to connect to that if you can. All right, so if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me. This is why I'm here. This is my favorite part of the job is connecting with students and supporting students. It's why I'm a teacher, to support you individually. And I mean, I love talking math, so I'm happy to do it, but I also really want to support students in their understanding. So please reach out. I will try to reach out, connect with you, but if you know that you're struggling or something isn't making sense for you, please reach out to me so that I can support you. Email is one of the best ways to get a hold of me, as I can get it wherever I am if we end up closing down or something. Bronwyn.slate is my email address. It's spelled BRONWYN.SLATE@nnec.on.ca. Facebook is also great to connect with me, where my name is B Slate, all one word, Wahsa, the last name. You can call me at the office, at the main office, at 807-737-1488, and my extension is 2209. You can leave me a voicemail and I'll get back to you as soon as I can if it's outside of my office hours or if I'm teaching. You can also call us toll free at 1-800-667-3703. And my office hours for this term are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. So I teach from 9 till 11. So if you try to reach me during that time, I won't be available. But otherwise, if you call me within those hours, then I will most likely answer the phone and can support you. If that doesn't work for you, let me know and we can try to work something out to make sure that you're getting the support that you need. All right, so let's dive into our coursework. So again, this is MEL3E, so the grade 11 workplace math. All students need a grade 11 course, a grade 11 math course to graduate. So this is one of the most common used CLEP courses. And we're going to start with lesson 1, which is earning an income. So our learning goals, what we hope to achieve by the end of this lesson, is that you can say, I can calculate annual salaries based on different pay periods. I can calculate piecework and determine its advantages and disadvantages. I can explain where to find a job advertisement and how to interpret them. So the success criteria, so how we know that you've met the learning goals, is because you can say, I can figure out my pay if I know the yearly salary and the pay schedule, either monthly, semi-monthly, biweekly, and weekly. I can explain why I might want to do and why I might not want to do piecework. And I can find job advertisements and explain all the important parts. So before we dive into those pieces of this lesson, we're going to do a brain activation, some mental math to get our brains back in the groove of doing some math. I'm not sure if you experienced this, but when I was in elementary school and learning math, the math mad minutes were all the rage. And so we would sit in our desks and be timed for a minute and had to do as many math facts as we could. They might be addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, whatever. And we just had to sit there and drill through them. And either you knew them and you could answer them, or you didn't know them and you didn't know them and there wasn't anything you could do. It didn't actually help us learn any of them. It was just repetitive practice with the stress of time. I don't believe that this is a great tool for supporting students in learning your math facts. I think that it's much more beneficial to focus on developing strategies that you can use in various situations that do not have time pressure. Math is not about speed. Math is about understanding deeply and comfortably. And that is often lost in many of our classrooms. So at the beginning of all of our classes, we're going to do brain activation, where we're going to do arithmetic questions. So each day it'll be different, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. And we're going to walk through some different strategies about how we can do these questions that might be more useful than just memorizing them and saying either you know them or you don't, which isn't the reality for many of us. So our question today is 17 plus 4, and we're going to use the strategy of what I call friendly numbers. And so this is where you're going to manipulate the numbers to make them friendly for you. So that might be different for different people, but that's okay. You don't have to do it one way. You can do it in different ways. And I'm going to show you 2 ways so that we can see what might be different friendly numbers. So the first way, when I look at this question, so it's 17 plus 4, whenever I see a 7, and a 7 isn't a super friendly number for me. So I want to try to make it something that is like a 10. So 17, I want to try to turn that into 20 because that's going to be a more friendly number for me. So I know that 7 plus 3 is 10. That's a fact that I know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break up my 4, and I generally do this in my head, but I'm writing it down so that you can see what I'm doing in my head. And I'm going to say, well, 4 is like 3 plus 1. And so then I can say, okay, well, 17 plus 3 is going to be 20. I know that that has made that a more friendly number for me to add. And so then I had that 1 left over. And so I have 20 plus 1 is 21. So 17 plus 4 is equal to 21. And that's how I turn my 17 into a more friendly number of 20 and make it easier to add to figure out that it's 21. So that's one way that you could do this. Another way, just to show you quickly that we can do it in more than one way. So another way is to think, okay, well, 4, I want to turn 4 into a friendly number. And I know that 4 plus 6 is equal to 10. 10s are often the most friendly of numbers. 5s, 2s, there's other things that might be more friendly for you. For me, 10 is my friendliest thing that I want to try to get to. So if I take my 17 and I say, well, 17 is 11 plus 6, that's also 17. Then I can get a 6 so that I can add it to my 4. And so I can have 11 plus, well, 6 plus 4 is 10. And again, I'm doing this in my head. So it's not, I'm saying that you have to write all these steps down in general when you're doing math, when you're doing addition, but it sort of helps you see what's going on. So then I have 11 plus 10, which is 21, which is the same thing that we got before, which just shows that you can do it in a couple of different ways depending on what your needs are. And that's how using friendly numbers to do addition. Doesn't matter what year, if you're adding like 6,427 or whatever, right? Like, or 1,015, or like, the number doesn't matter how big the number is, you can still take little parts away to make it more friendly for you. Okay, so that's our brain activation, starting to do some math, getting back in the groove. But now we're going to do a minds on. We're going to engage in any prior learning or sort of think about what we need to know for this lesson. So first, money always has 2 decimal places. We're going to be talking a lot about money in this course. It's really where math shows up a lot in our lives. So it's important to know that we might end up with answers with long decimal places, but we're always going to want to round to 2 decimal places. That is what makes sense in our money system. So for rounding, if the number you're rounding is followed by a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, then you round the number up. So you say it's closest to the bigger, the next bigger number. So for example, I have 28.537. So I want to round to 2 decimal places, right? So I want to have it so that it's just those 2 parts. So I look at this last number because I want to, it's next to the 2 decimal places that I want, and it's a 7. So that means that this whole number is closer to 28.54 than it is to 28.53. And that's the idea of rounding, is that what are we closer to? So then we round it up. So it's $20.54 is what we're really closer to. So then same if we have a long string of numbers. So 0.125304. Again, we just want 2 decimal places. So we're just looking here. All of these extra numbers don't really matter. We're looking at this one number beside the 2 decimal places. We're always looking at the third spot, really. And it's a 5. So 5s is one of the ones that we round up. So 0.12 becomes 0.13 because we're closer to 13 cents than we are to 12 cents. If we have 7.9972, again, we're looking at these 2 decimal places is what we want to round to. And so we're looking at the third spot. Well, it's a 7, so we're going to round up. So we have 7.99, we're going to round up. Well, that's $7.99. If we round up, that means that we're going to round up to $8.00. And that's how we do rounding up. Then if the number you're rounding is followed by 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, then we round the number down. We're closer to the lower number than we are to the higher number. So for example, we have 15.912. So again, we're always looking for the 2 decimal places. So we're looking at this this third spot, it's a 2. So that means that we're closer to $15.91 than we are to $15.92. Sorry. All right, so then we have 4.86329. So we're looking at our 2 decimal places. We look at the third spot. It's a 3, so it's under 5, right? So it was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 are the numbers under 5. 5 up to 9, we're rounding up. So 3, we're going to round down. So $4.86. And then our final example, we have 6.99481. So we are looking at our 4s in that third spot. So we're going to round down. So 6.99 is what we end up with. We don't round up to the dollar because we're closer to $6.99. That's really important to remember as we're rounding. Just it's something that's going to happen throughout the entire course. It's going to keep coming up. Okay, so let's explore some new concepts. What are we learning about today actually in our lesson? The most common question I get as a teacher, particularly as a math teacher, is when will I use this in real life? Well, we are strengthening our comfort with numbers. That is one thing that we're doing. Most likely you will receive an income of some way at some point in your life. So understanding how that works, you're choosing to work in different scenarios, understanding how that works, understanding how to get a job. But overall, in this entire course, we're strengthening our comfort with numbers because they show up in our lives all over the place. And so it's really important to be comfortable with them and so that they don't intimidate you, so that you are empowered by that information, about that knowledge, opposed to intimidated or it's a barrier. I don't want numbers. I don't want math to be a barrier in your life. So that's a key part of what we're doing in this course. So first, we're going to look at salary. So this is on page 2 of your iLearn booklet that you should have received. And salary is defined that it's paid based on a yearly amount for a set number of days and hours. So it says your yearly salary is this much, and you're not getting that in one chunk. You get it broken up over the course of the year, but that's how we're based on how much you get paid. So common examples of how folks who get paid with a salary are teachers, accountants, pilots, computer programmers. Lots of people get paid on a yearly salary. These are fixed payments that you get that are made at regular intervals. So if you get it monthly, so you get it once a month or 12 times over the course of the year. Semi-monthly, usually the 15th and the last day of each month, but so it's twice a month, and you get it 24 times in a year. Weekly, which is every week, or 52 times in a year, because there's 52 weeks in a year. Or bi-weekly, which is every second week, or 26 times in a year. So for example, how we use that information. Rose earns a salary of $635 bi-weekly, and our lean salary is $1,380 monthly. Assuming the jobs would be equally enjoyable, whose pay would you prefer? Explain why. So don't worry about the jobs, just looking at the money. How do we figure out who makes more money? Because generally that's what we are looking for in our capitalist world. So Rose, we have to do 2 calculations. Rose is $635 and it's bi-weekly. So remember, bi-weekly means every 2 weeks. So that's 26 times in a year. So we say 635 times 26 equals, and I forgot to get my calculator out. So give me 1 second to just get my calculator. First day back, a bit out of practice. Sorry, I'm trying to make this smaller and it just is not making my life easier. This is why I usually do this before I go on the air. Oh, okay. It's just not liking me today. Okay. There we go. our calculator. Sorry, this is a Desmos calculator. It's an online free calculator. So you have access to it. I'll put a link in the show notes of the YouTube so that you can get access to it. There's also a free app that you can download on a device if you don't have your own calculator. So it's a great tool to have. I strongly encourage you to use a calculator just because I'm not evaluating you on your ability to do arithmetic. It's an important skill to have, but I'm evaluating you, and I'm hoping that you can learn about the skills that we're learning about in this course, and doing the math is just sort of an extra thing that you need to practice. So using calculator is going to set you up for the most success. Okay, so we've got 635 times 26, which is 16,510. So that's how much Rose makes in a year, in 1 year. So then Arlene is monthly, so she makes $1,380 monthly, so that's 12 times in 1 year. So then going back to our calculator, we have 1,380 times 12 gives us $16,560. So you can explain what you want to do. So do you want, so this is for 1 year. Is it better for you to have that extra $50 over the course of the year? Maybe. Is it better for you to get your paid more frequently, to get it paid every like 2 weeks instead of getting paid once a month? Maybe. You decide and you explain why. Key to these questions is you to explain. To me, it doesn't matter. I don't care which one you pick. I just want to know why you picked it. If you just say, I want Rose's salary, that's not enough. I need to know why. That's the important part. Okay, example 2. Ken is paid a salary of $22,000 per year for performing clerical duties at the band office. How much does he earn per week? So if we know the yearly salary, what we're going to do is we're going to take our yearly salary, so $22,000, and we're going to divide it. So when we know the weekly, monthly, biweekly, semi-monthly salary, we multiply it because we know how much and how frequently they're getting paid. And so we want to figure out how much it is in total for over the year. If we know total for the over the year and we want to know it per week or per pay period, then we need to divide that total amount into the smaller chunks. So you just need to think about it logically, what's going on. If you know the whole amount, then you want to break it up into the smaller amounts, then you're dividing. If you know the smaller amounts and you want to figure out how much you have over the course of the year, then you multiply. So it's 52 weeks per year. So we are dividing 22,000 divided by 52 is equal to $423 and 0.76. So that's, remember, we're going to round up to 8 cents. So $423.08 weekly. So every week, that's how much Ken would get paid. If he did it per month, so it's still going to be the same amount of money. It's not that you get more money, it's just that you get it less often, and maybe that's better for you. So we're going to divide it by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. So again, we do 22,000 divided by 12 because we're only dividing up into 12 parts, which is $1,833.33. So again, Ken decides can decide possibly. Often you don't get to choose, but just knowing how much it would be weekly and how much it would be monthly. Okay, so now you can do the questions on already. You are ready to do the questions on page 4 of your IEL booklet. Questions 1 and 2, though we've practiced the skills. If you need to go over those things that we just did, totally go on YouTube, repeat them to help you understand. But you should be able to do those support questions to set you up for success for this unit. Now we're going to talk about piecework. So this is on page 3 of your IEL book. And piecework is an income based on the number of items produced or sold. So you get paid per piece. That's why it's called piecework. So your earnings can sometimes include a combination of salary and piecework. So sometimes you get both a set amount and how much you get a chunk per how much you are paying. Some common examples are truck drivers, telemarketers, workers in clothing factories, house cleaner, residential snow plower or lawnmower. These are all generally people who get paid per job. So the pros and cons of piecework based on the employee view. So you are most likely the employee, the person who is making the money, doing the work. So the pros are you can control how much you get paid based on how much you accomplish. So if you know that you only need to work, you only need to make this certain amount of money, then you can do this certain number of jobs. So you're plowing driveways, you get $15 per driveway, say, and you know that for this day, you want to make or no, let's just do it easy. Let's say you $20 driveway and you want to make $100 in that day. So you need to do 5 driveways and then you make 5 at $20 each, you make $100. So you get to decide how much if you want to do more driveways or less driveways, depending on how much you want to make. The cons are that if you can't work or work fast enough, you won't make a lot of money. If it's a snowstorm and your snowplow is not working, then you're not going to make any money that day. You don't get to take a sick day, or if you get stuck, then you can only do what you can only do. You don't, if you don't do the work, you don't get any, there's no support, there's no sort of backup of, okay, well, you're going to finish the work on a different day or something like that. So generally workers are focused on quantity, not quality. So you might not do, you're trying to rush through to get through as many driveways as you can. So you might not do it as carefully as if you were getting paid for how good of a job you're doing. You're just getting paid for getting done and as many as you can do. So let's look at an example that you might get in your workbook. So Lucas works part-time at the Canada Life Centre selling programs for Winnipeg Jets games. He's paid by piecework. He earns $10 per game plus 25 cents for each program he sells. How much does Lucas earn if he sells 150 programs at one game? So how we figure this out is that we know, okay, $10 per game. So no matter what, he doesn't sell one program, he gets $10. It's not very much. But then he gets 25 cents for every program that he sells. So for this case, we have 150 programs is how much he sells. So what we're going to do is we do 25 cents times 150 is equal to $37.50. In this case, we don't have 2 decimals, right? It's 37.5, but because money, we always have 2 decimals, we put a 0 in at the end. So for that game, he makes $37.50 for the programs. So in total, he gets that $10 for that game plus $37.50. So that's equal to $47.50. So Lucas earns $47.50 in one game. And that's how you do a piecework question. Another example, Jamie builds wooden pallets. On Monday, they built 300 pallets and are paid 35 cents per pallet. What are their earnings for Monday? So in this case, they don't get a base salary, it's just per pallet. So we do 300 pallets times 0.35 cents. So 300 times 0.35 is equal to $105. That's how much Jamie works or earns on Monday. If they build 300 each day for 5 days a week, what would their weekly earnings be? So for that 1 week, if they did 300 each day, so we know that for 1 day it's $105. So then if we times that by 5 for 5 days, then we get, well, 5 times 100 is 500, 5 times 5 is 25. So Jamie would make $525 for that week. And then part C, Jamie works 50 weeks in a year. If they make the same number of pallets each week, how much would they earn in a year? So we know that for 1 week, it's $525. And we know that they work for 50 weeks in the year. So we're going to multiply it by 50. So that might be getting too big to multiply in our head. So we can just do 525 times 50 is equal to $26,250. So, I mean, it started off as 35 cents, but depending on how good you get, you can make a chunk of change. You can make a bunch of money. All right, example 5. Millie picks and sells blueberries by the pound at the farmer's market. She made $57 today and sold 85 pounds of berries. How much did she earn per pound? So this is tricky because it's hard to know. It's easy to confuse how you're organizing your information. So Millie made $57 per pound. Sorry, no, $57 in total. My bad, $57 in total. And she picked 85 pounds. So that means to figure out how much per pound means we're dividing by the pounds. So we're going to do $57 divided by 85 to figure out how much she makes per pound. So $57 divided by 85 equals 0.6705. Well, 0.67, we look at the 0 next to it, so we're rounding down. So that means that Millie makes 67 cents per pound, per 1 pound. That's how much she earns per 1 pound of berries, 67 cents. So it's really important to look at what, if you're looking for dollars, so how much money she earns per pound. So the per pound tells us that we're dividing by the pounds. It's something that lots of students mix up. Okay, so now you're ready to do some more questions on page 6, questions 3 through 5. And the last piece that we're looking at today is the job advertisements. So there's lots of places to find job ads. If you're looking online, locally, we have the Sue Hudson Employment Agency, which is a job agency, which you can find at SiouxLookoutJobs.com. The Sioux Lookout Bulletin is a newspaper, which you can find them both online or in print copies. So SiouxBulletin.com/employment is how you'd find it online. You can also look at job banks. So there's the Canadian Job Bank, which is jobbank.gc.ca/home, which is something that is going to be water-based opposed to just local. But those are all places that you can look for jobs online or potentially actually in print with the newspaper. You can also look at local organizations. So they might have websites or they might have job postings if they have a job board possibly. So tribal councils, education councils, grocery stores, post offices, you know your community. So that word of mouth and that being connected might be able to help you find a job ad. So here's an example of one from Sioux Lookout First Nations Health Authority. So this one is lists a whole bunch of different casual positions. So dietary aid, and so the name of the job and then how much you get paid for it. So $19 and $19.707. This I would assume is an hourly rate, is what makes most sense. Then laundry aid for the same rate, dispatch clerk at $25.102 an hour, housekeeping aid at $19.907, accommodation clerk, security personnel, transportation driver, airport interpreter. So there's various jobs at, and those ones are all at $22.952 an hour. And they also says here rates provided are based on a starting wage. So that means that probably depending on your experience and your education, that might go up depending on how long you're in the job or things like that. So then they tell you where the full ad is. This is just, I took, I think, out of the newspaper, is at slfnha.com/careers. So then you can find more information, or you can call them and ask the human resources for more information about those positions. So then I went in and I looked and I found, looking at the housekeeper aid, I found more information. So it tells you the employer, SLFNA, the job summary. So under the supervision of the team leader, the housekeeping aid is to meet the housekeeping needs of the hostel clients. The starting salary, $19.707 per hour. And who can apply? Persons of First Nations ancestry will be given preference based on this act, which makes sense. And then the applications must possess. So these are the things that you need to have. So completing secondary education is preferred, but consider life experience and skills related to this position. Experience in housekeeping is an asset. Ability to work on your feet all day, to work various shifts, to lift 20 pounds. Must be an independent and self-motivated worker. Ability to learn WMIS, which we'll learn more about later in the course. You can also look it up. So then these are the things, the tasks that you will be needing to do. So all this information is in the job ad that gives you information about what the job is and what you would need to do with it. It just continues. All this information would be in the job ad. Here's a second job ad with Wahsa. The same idea. It gives you education, your experience. It tells you your health benefits. So these are things that you get on top of getting paid. So your healthcare plan, disability benefits, dental plan, vision care benefits. So you get your dentist and your eye doctor covered to a certain amount based on those benefits. You also get group insurance, life insurance, pension plan in this job as well. All right, so now let's consolidate everything that we've learned today. So the highlights of our lesson one, we looked at salary. So this is pay based on a yearly amount, and it's paid in regular week intervals, so monthly, semi-monthly, bi-weekly, and weekly. We talked about piecework, which is pay based on the number of items produced or sold. We talked about job advertisements, which are found in newspapers, job agencies, and banks, and includes the details such as rate of pay, benefits, education, experience, and skills needed. So how we covered our success criteria, how we met our learning goals. So hopefully you can figure out your pay if you know the yearly salary and the pay schedule. Hopefully you can explain why you might want to do piecework and why you might not want to do piecework. And then hopefully you can find job advertisements and explain all of the important parts, and so that you can really understand how job advertisement works so that you can apply to a job if you would like to. So we don't have any time to do these practice questions, but you just, very similar to what we've done in our previous questions, for this one, you think about, okay, so this is your annual amount. Then if you want to do it weekly, you're going to divide by 52, this amount by 52 to figure out how much you get weekly. If you want to do it monthly, you're going to divide your annual amount by 12 to figure out how much you're going to work, how much you get paid monthly. Here, Akil, we know how much they work weekly. So to figure out the annual amount, you're going to have to multiply it by 52 to figure out the annual amount. And then you can figure out the monthly amount by dividing it by 12. The same with Rhea. The monthly, you're going to times it by 12 to figure out the annual amount. And then you can divide it by 52 to figure out what the weekly amount is. And similarly, this is a piecework question. So they pay workers $2 to $3 per tree for pruning trees. And then we have 2 workers. We have a worker who does it at 150 trees per $2 per year. And Milan is more experienced and so gets 300 trees at $250 in 1 week. So talking about why there might be a range in that $2 to $3 per tree. What that might be an incentive to make people want to improve their work so they get paid more for the same amount of work if they just do it better. All right, so always, if you have any questions, please reach out and contact me. My name is Bronwyn Slate, and you can call me at the office at 807-737-1488 at extension 2209, or toll free at 1-800-667-3703. My email address is bronwyn.slate@nnec.on.ca, and you can find me on Facebook and YouTube at B/Slate Wahsa. Again, my office hours for term 1A this term is Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. So please reach out. And if you need help, I'm happy to help you. This is why I'm here. Thank you so much for joining me, and Miigwech.